Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Morning. Not a whole lot of activity on the open. E-mini pointed down. Well, we'll just bring this over here. Oh, no. Wait. We'll pull this over here. Need to pull open this, and we need to check. Need to check all our stuff. Aha! YouTube is working correctly today. Aha! So that's cool. Welcome back for those of you that we missed. YouTube and Twitch. Okay, we good. And let's just, yeah. Okay. So, anyways, the Treasuries have come down a little bit, but the E-mini is not doing correlated. The E-mini was up, they're down a little bit. We're down a little bit. There's a good chance that we move up. Actually, we've already moved up while I've been yapping here. Maybe this goes through. I think we could see the VWAP. Tough to say. Looks like right here that the 5-year is not quite ready. I can just put that in there. See. And yeah, I'm seeing also currencies seem to be making a little bit of a move, but particularly the E-mini looks like it wants to move lower. And Caterpillar earnings were bad. That's one of the big headlines that I'm seeing right now is Caterpillar earnings were bad. Stock skids after earnings miss. Fed meat. So we got some stuff on. Let's turn on the squawk here. So I don't see any big news today. I got HPI consumer confidence tomorrow. ADP non-farm on Wednesday. Pending home sales FOMC statement on the Wednesday. Okay. So it's like that. Oh, got a good fill there. But that almost all pulled for us to get filled there. Was it a lure? It's interesting that 11 is now that weak. I move this to probably to here. Got it. So we got a real cluster up in here, right? Because there's a point of control, which will probably suck us up. And that's why I think I might be able to get filled at 13. Then there's the VWAP. So I think if we do move up there, that we could get that. Now, of course, it could flip before it does that. We are kind of like, I don't know. We're a little bit far. We had a bit of a breakout there. Okay. Uptick, but only 1,000. E-mini's really getting pushed down here. Okay. Interesting. Ugh, I'm gonna have one of those mornings where my stomach is not like being filled. I can feel it coming in already. They ticked up there and it got stopped. Okay, yeah, downtick in the 5-year. Should be careful here. That's a little bit of an impulsive move in the E-mini. It might flip around here. Let's just see if I can. And that is interesting. 30 years pointing the other direction compared to the others. Are we still okay? Filled. I don't like that 1713 traded in there. Yeah. Some resistance at 11, but they may yet push through it. If they do it, that's okay because don't necessarily I wasn't necessarily seeing some strong continuation there, were we? So it's okay. Well, they're building a stronger bid than they did before, and a little bit is trickling into 11.5. It ticks down. There was a 3K iceberg. They're trying to hold it too. This one's hard to call. Hard to call. I think. Oh, cool. I actually have an equal number of YouTube and Twitch watchers today. Ain't that interesting? Wonder if a couple of you guys, because we had trouble with YouTube, switched over to Twitch. It's probably what happened. Okay, so that 11 has gone offer. And it's a pretty strong offer, and that 10.5 is still kind of pulling. Now that 10.5 has been pulling this whole time. So that might be deceptive. There was a pretty big iceberg at 11. I bet you that there's going to be at least 2,000 at 10.5. It's my guess. There's a lot less than that, and you get a good offer, then that could mean that we go back, maybe even to the lows, but should be careful because we get FOMC on Wednesday, and sometimes we see trends going into that. And this could be a place where they're going to say, no, we're not going to make a rate hike or whatever it is, like this could be where you would see that kind of a move. And if it did, I think that the move would probably be up. A little bit of a runny nose now. Excuse me. That's a little better. Making all these gross noises for you guys. Hope you enjoy it. Interestingly, nothing I'm not hearing is my squawk not.
Market because of Venezuela. That's via the IRA there.
It's like, how come I'm not hearing anything over here?
Add
the volume off.
It says that has not discussed the situation in Venezuela with OPEC colleagues.
The situation, huh? Well, they're trying to coax them into buying 11 again, and they're just not going for it. But you can see there. Okay, 1270. I don't know. I think we're maybe a little bit too much in the middle to, so if we go down and touch the lows, that's, 1, 2, 3, 4 ticks down. And up the highs is 1, 2, 3, 4. Or if you count 13, I guess, depending on where you buy. So we're literally right in the middle. So your risk reward is equal and your probability is equal. That I think means we just don't take a trade until we see something like some really strong impulse or ES making some sort of a crazy move or something. I thought that this move in Bitcoin this morning was a big deal, but it looks like it's not. Looks like it was really just kind of a small blip, relatively speaking. Wonder if I can show BTC 01. Wait, how does it work? BTC space 0119. Oh, no. 0219. Oh, come on. How do I do it? I know you can do it. Okay, they ticked back up. Muy interesante.
Farley saying hopes OPEC deal will be more than fully carried out. The situation needs to be reassessed in March to April.
So they made a little bit of a push there. It's unfinished at 11.5 now. But it still can't seem to move up. It's interesting. If you look for short, the low...
Speakers have had a couple of questions. So ECB's Draghi at 1400 GMT is testifying about the economy and monetary policy before the European Parliament. So we may get some comments there. Then at 1430 GMT, you've got BOE's Governor Carney along with Ramsden, Broadbent and Place. They're participating in a Q&A along with those members about the future of money at the BOE's Future Forum. But because it's a Q&A, you could, I guess, get some questions related to the economy or monetary policy. Farley saying working to bring oil inventories under the 5-year average.
Yeah, I don't know.
Farley also saying, apologies to repeat.
This thing here in ZF, it sat here for a long time. Went down, up and down a tick. So like the 30 years still looks pointed up, even though it's kind of been doing the same maybe I'm going to pivot thing. How do I get the freaking the older?
Farley saying the oil output cuts is to affect the market over the next few weeks. To repeat that, Farley saying oil output cuts to affect the market over the next few weeks.
Oh, see, I can roll over Bitcoin now. So I guess I'll just do it that way. Okay. Now you can see that it's more significant. But people were still buying it. Man, people were really buying it on the 25th too. It really seems to me, now that we're starting to get things like this, like it goes lower and they continue to buy, it really seems to me like they're using the Bitcoin futures to hedge. Because it's doing the opposite of what the actual instrument is doing. In terms of whether people are buying or selling, that is.
Farley says oil demand is to pick up near to the end of the first quarter and into the second quarter.
I have to say, though, that's a pretty good move down for the start of the week. I should change the status series. That doesn't go back far enough. I need to go back like 180 days, I think. Yeah. In 2020. Yeah, okay. Weird. They're definitely using the futures
A
to...
little bit of contradiction from Farley saying we still don't know the impact of the Venezuela turmoil on the oil market.
Okay, well now the 30 years is starting to show a little bit of liquidity on both sides, really. As is the 5 years. So it looks like, now you're not seeing it over here in the 10, but it looks like things are just becoming more range bound, in fact. This thing is probably going to break out, though. Gotta be careful because it's a Monday. Gotta be careful.
Farley hoping more producers do join to keep the oil markets in balance.
Oh, I didn't catch there that they really did tick up. It's interesting. So they really did tick up to 12 and ticked into 12. And now they're ranging about around 11.5. Possibly. The 5-year. 5-year came down a little bit. Let's see what we got here. We are, I mean, I think I have to be a little bit in favor of short, though, because but we are below the bull bear zone.
Farley saying Saudi oil production to drop below 10.2 million barrels per day in Feb.
06 to 10. Yes, that's right. Okay. Let's reset that. I've saved the... By the way, so
saying Saudi oil output to be well below the voluntary cap. To repeat, Saudi's Fani saying the oil output from the Saudis to be well below the voluntary cap.
so I upgraded to the latest version of Jigsaw, and I'm wondering, did it do this before? You see this thing that it's doing with the buttons? What's with that? Did it always do that? Ooh, it's kind of cool, but I don't remember doing that before. Okay, they're holding 11.5. Looks like it's still robots there.
Flowering from Nigeria's oil minister, their crude oil production is at 1.75 million barrels per day.
Yeah, I think I would have to favor the short side today overall, but it's a Monday. So like the thing is, it's a Monday, there's FOMC. So with FOMC, it's the context is a little bit weird, because if this is an FOMC meeting where the FOMC could do something like significant, the market seems to have some way of sniffing it out and making the move in the days preceding.
Partly saying it's not rewarding for us to export a lot of oil to the US.
I've seen this happen quite a few times where on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday you just get really good trends, and then the meeting comes out and what do you know? They didn't raise rates or whatever it was. Right? But then most of the time, nothing significant comes out of the meeting, and there's nothing significant out of that trading. That's only happened, well, it's happened most of the times that I've been watching it, but it hasn't been happening lately, and it appears to me, even though I don't have complete data and everything, but it appears to me that is usually not the case. It's usually very quiet before the FOMC meeting. And we don't have really any super significant news the next 2 days, right? Consumer confidence tomorrow, like that's it. It's the end of the month. In the end of the month, you tend to see buying. FOMC would tend to favor buying. But and the E-mini moving down would tend to favor buying. But the price action in the Treasuries seems to favor selling. So there's a contradiction there. And then Monday seems to favor less volatility, and we're seeing that less volatility play out. We got one tick. I guess it could have gotten 2 ticks out of that. After what? When did we take it? 24? So almost 30 minutes. Guess 20 minutes so far, but that's kind of favoring very range bound action. So if we really are super range bound and we don't know which way it's going to go, we really need to see somebody overextend to take one, I think. This is tough one to call, I think. Was this 16 tick pullback on ZB? I'm not sure I'm following, because are you saying that the move from 11 to 145.11? I don't understand. Or are you saying that from this move down and we came back up? But that's not 16 ticks. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. From 145.12. I guess the overnight range is 16 ticks, isn't it? 1, 2, 3. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, yeah. So the overnight range is 16 ticks. I'm not too sure I can call it a pullback though, just because I'm not entirely sure what it's. I mean, here's a move down. Here it came back up. That wasn't 16 ticks, so that was like 14 ticks, right? And then it was 16 ticks down in new low. So I don't understand why you call it a pullback, but that's okay. That's not super big deal, right? But it is like okay, we're below the bull bear zone. So statistically speaking, if we open below the bull bear zone, we tend to move down. If we open above the bull bear zone, we tend to move up. It's a very, very small edge, but that's the statistical probability, right? But then when I look at all of these other things going on, like if FOMC is they're more dovish and stock markets aren't very good, and maybe people are hedging because there's some Brexit stuff going on, and we're at the end of the month. The last week of the month you tend to buy. So there's a bunch of fundamental things that I think kind of favor going long. But it seems like that the most dominant factor right now is that volatility is decreasing, and it just doesn't seem to be a whole lot of reason for them to want to sell it. Interesting here on the spread. We should keep an eye on the spread for sure, but we're not seeing any significant delta divergences between instruments to key us off to that yet.
Just a heads up, in just under 10 minutes time, so we'll hear from ECB's President Draghi speaking in the European Parliament in Brussels. Just a quick recap on his recent comments after the presser following the rate decision. He said when markets placed the first rate hike in 2020, it shows they have understood our reaction function. He also noted headline inflation is to decrease in the coming months with underlying inflation muted. He also noted the ECB is ready to adjust all its instruments if required.
Okay, so there's 12.5.
We have put a link on our board where you can click and tune in live.
My original target I had at 13, but it is just so slow.
For our premium users as well, of course, there is a link to dial into there, so we will stay quiet for the majority of the speech unless he says anything salient.
Oh, Reggie speaks at the top of the hour. Okay. But see, it's just like these slow movers again, you know? Like this, since the trade that I took at 10.5, ever since then, it's been a slow bubble up. Really hard to scalp. Really hard to scalp. Now, I guess that's the other thing that I could point out, is that the momentum is up. And I have not seen anything. I've seen things that make me think, okay, I'm not sure what's happening, but I haven't seen anything that is like a crescendo or a momentum flip of any kind. So I don't think I could be going short right now. I could have gone back in and picked up another few ticks, but it's too range bound. I think we're better off just sitting out. Unless of course you see something that says that you have a really good possibility of moving up. On Friday, you said you met a trader at JP, well, it was Goldman, but that was using the DOM and advised you to trade that way. Could you share what market she was trading and what does it take to get a position at those places? Good question. Okay, so my recollection was that she was trading a one of the currency futures, like JPY or something like that. Because I told her like I was interested in treasuries, and she was like, "Oh, those are the big traders." You know, like the best traders there were the ones that they had on the treasuries. And at the time, that was when they were really building up their fixed income business. So they were really pushing hard to get their best traders into treasuries and everything like that. Now, as to how you get a position at those places, as a trader, I don't know. I never figured it out. It seemed to me, though, because I was in technology, and it seemed to me that to move from technology over to the business side was very, very difficult. And in fact, I don't think that they would have allowed me to move over. So you remember the London whale? He was a JP Morgan trader, right? You guys remember that story? And I don't know if he was in technology before or what, but he knew a lot of stuff about the risk control systems that they had at JP Morgan. And some of the systems that I worked on at Goldman were risk control systems that we put in place because of what happened at JP Morgan with the London whale. So it was kind of like if anybody had an opportunity to go rogue there, it would have been me if I had become a trader, because I knew the risk system better than almost anybody else. Well, except for the guy that wrote it, of course, who was, oh my gosh, so amazing. And it was written in KDB, which is super esoteric language. But so I don't know if there was any kind of security vulnerability in there that would have allowed you to get past the risk controls, but like it was there, the possibility was there, I think. And so it kind of, at some point I realized because of what I've done now, the chances of me actually ever becoming a trader here are probably pretty low. One thing I do remember, though, was that when we were going through, I got hired right out of school. So they take everybody that they hired that year out of school, and there's a training for 2 weeks or more, depending on which division you're in. And so when we were there in technology, there was some people that were doing finance, and they go through things. They were going through training about trading and those sorts of things out of school. So I would say that probably your best chance would be get a business degree, get an internship there. Having the internship, I know, makes a big difference, because most of not most, but a good portion of the people that were there
Saudi oil
had been
output
interns.
target for Feb is 10.1 million barrels per day. To repeat that, he's saying the oil output target for Feb is 10.1 million barrels per day, below the 10.2.
Yeah, get an internship and then get hired there into finance.
Stay well below the cap for full 6 months, Farley says.
And then I assume that if you have an interest in trading, that they might eventually move you over to that. Now, on the other side, I wonder, maybe someday, look, we're back to 11. I don't know. So, we came back to that 12.5, and I was saying, hey, we need to, the momentum hasn't flipped yet. I mean, that's 2 ticks down. I don't know if that's enough to say that I should take it short, though. It still seems really iffy, although we are starting to see a breakdown in cumulative delta in the 10-year. So maybe you could take it short now. The E-mini is looking a little bit more positive. I don't know if they're going to break out the top of this 2649 area. Maybe if we see an opportunity in the E-mini that it's going to go up, and then maybe we could short it for the low. Because it stopping there at 12.5 is kind of weird. And we can't say that it was unfinished. I don't think that 12.5 ever went bid, so I think that would be considered a finished auction. Anyways, what was I going to say? I wonder, I hope, maybe someday they decide that the Volcker rule is stupid. Can only hope. And the banks get more traders again. I think the way that the markets have been trading lately is not good, you know? Like, you guys tell me what you think, but I think that we've gone through periods of extremely low volatility, and like everybody's shorting the VIX, and then we go through these periods of extreme volatility, like December, where we went down to levels that we just had no business being at in the E-mini, right? And I think that part of it is because it was those big traders at the banks that were really kind of trading their own account, really. Well, the firm's account, were the ones that when things kind of got out of line, they had the ability to come in and say, oh no, this is crazy, we should buy it here. And now that you don't have those, you just have the algorithms. And the algorithms are going based off of some sort of machine learning algorithm. So like the machine learning algorithm is learning, oh, volatility isn't very high, shouldn't take trades.
So we hear from ECB's Draghi.
Or we should take mean reversion kind of trades. And then all of a sudden something switches and they go, oh, the market has changed, we should take trending trades. And they all take the same trade, and so you get like too little volatility, too much volatility, and it's because the market action is dominated too much by the algorithms. So I think that they need to get rid of the Volcker rule and maybe even make some changes for retail to get more retail investors in, so that the market isn't so dominated by just the algorithms, you know? So maybe if that ever happens, maybe the banks go and say, hey, we need to hire more traders. And maybe if you're good and you have a good record, then, you know, you could apply and you'll hear about it. They'll be like, Goldman's hiring traders, and everybody will be going and getting hired. That would be nice, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I can dream, though. I don't know. The thing that they were saying was like, that I remember somebody saying when I worked there, was that if you really know how to trade and you have the money, you're much better off trading your own account, because then when you build up the account, you know,
upgrading its financial guidance for the fourth quarter of full year 2019, saying revenue expected to be $2.2 billion versus the previous guidance of $2.7 billion. That's below the company's expectations there for the gaming and data center revenue.
It's all yours. You can do whatever you want with it. You continue to build it. Ultimately, you can make a lot more money trading on your own account.
Draghi saying over the past few months, incoming information has continued to be weaker than expected.
It's just very few people have enough money to really do that, to make more trading on their own than they would at a firm or something else. Digital Shot sold 11.5. It's already flipping on them though.
Draghi saying supportive financial conditions, favourable labour market dynamics and rising wage growth continue to underpin the euro area expansion, saying this supports our confidence in the continued sustained convergence of inflation to levels that are below but close to 2%. Draghi also saying significant monetary policy stimulus remains essential and that the Governing Council stands ready to adjust all of its instruments as appropriate.
Okay, well, the E-mini moved down, and I think that's kind of what pushed us back up in Treasuries so quickly. So I guess this is another example of why I don't like to trade that kind of an area. It's like a piece of news could come out and really flip it. E-mini could just decide to puke and really flip it. Look at that offer at 145.75. When they ticked down, it followed it down. It's kind of rolling it down as they go. I think that there's a pretty good chance that they will tick through that 26.45.50 to a new low. By the way, Finance
news
Club.
hearing from that chipmaker Nvidia citing macroeconomic conditions, particularly in China, for its cutting of its fourth quarter revenue forecasts, saying a number of deals in the forecast
Going
did
to
not
offer.
close in the last month.
What was M Finance saying about TI low? Don't know what he was talking about, but I still want to acknowledge that he said something and that we appreciate it. Even though I have no clue what he was talking about. Down a little bit. Still having trouble at 12. They did tick for a new low, but only by one tick.
Stephen Swinsford saying Labour will not be setting its position out on the Cooper Amendment today. He's told it's expected to make the position clear after the Cooper Amendment is selected tomorrow, but despite assurances given to backbenchers, discussions are still ongoing. Labour's support is not a given.
Okay, so there was a good stop run in the E-mini, but the Treasuries still didn't tick up. So typical, isn't it? You're looking at it, I'm looking like, okay, the E-mini might go for a new low. Maybe Treasuries will continue to tick up. You get this big stop run and it barely goes up one tick. Barely.
Draghi now has begun speaking.
And it's going down. That E-mini is unhappy. 24 to 25. This is talking about, oh, 145.04 is midpoint. I don't know. I'm not really seeing this momentum to the upside really subside, and there is a big order showing up at 11.5 now. So that would normally be an indication that they plan on holding that and that we won't be able to go through. But again, it's slow, so I can't really say. The slower it is, the more of a chance I have of being wrong about something. Better to just stay out. Hmm. Oh. And that E-mini's just still going. So there's 13. Well, I guess the true top of that volume profile is 13.5 and 14, so maybe we could even see that if this continues. And they're having that 04, 05 area, and ZB appears to be significant resistance.
So equities chip makers under pressure here. Nvidia down about 12% pre-market.
Nvidia shares tank after chipmaker cuts guidance. Hmm. Yeah, so another tick up. Well, not quite holding it. So there's been this size up at 13.5 kind of on and off for a while now. And ZB not quite getting over. Let's just see what happens. Oh man. Okay, when I'm done at 8:30, I need to double check on my miner because apparently the pool that I was mining garlic coin on has decided to go down. So okay. Interesting. So they're still kind of reaching, so that's not necessarily a good way to get filled, but I do like that it didn't really stay bid. They immediately pushed it back down and offered another 1,000. That is good. Oh, okay. And they're being kind of tricksy here.
Just a heads up, UKPMA will address Tory MPs at 5 p.m. London time.
Given that we're extremely range bound, the most I can really be expecting is 3 to 4. Okay, they went bid pretty strongly there that time. But the E-mini does appear to be having some sort of a pullback. But that spot's not holding like I thought it would. Shouldn't go bid. It's not like the end of the world, but it shouldn't go bid. Nope. So the thing is we're getting to Friday's open in the E-mini. So there's probably going to be some support here. Okay. ZB really wants to hold that spot. Do you see how aggressively they ticked it down there? Well, they're not putting a big offer on it at 13 though. 5-year wants to kind of tick up still. I don't know. I don't know if the 5-year necessarily matters. The 30-year seems to be the one that's like, nope, we're turning around here now, guys. I mean, when you look at it, these ones, they were up. ZB it held. if we really do flip here, it would be you'd probably be able much better to be short the ZB. All right, well, it's holding 2,000 now at 13.
Just keeping an eye on the EU's deputy negotiator Wayan's comments here,
And 057 looks weak.
saying there's no UK ownership of a Brexit deal.
Yeah, there it is. So the thing is that the 5-year really pushed hard. So, and I know that when you get that many ticks in a row in the 5-year, that there's a tendency for it to come back at least a little bit. And you can see the 30-year is pushing. I would be careful. I'm tempted to maybe pull my order at 11, but I think I have the right spot. I think that I should stick to my guns and just fill it, even if I see a lot of momentum.
EU's deputy negotiator saying hard to see how you construct a UK majority for a deal, saying we need to give the UK time to get a majority. Just heads up, just under 10 minutes to the bottom of the hour, we hear from BOE's Carney, Ramsden, Broadbent and Place, who are in a Q&A session.
Okay. So the E-mini has been moving up. That may have been a pivot. You can see Treasuries reacting to it already.
EU's deputy negotiator saying no negotiation between the UK and EU, or negotiation in London.
Okay. We're right back up there. This is awfully quiet here, considering how significant of that downtick it was when it downticked. ZB did come back a tick.
The withdrawal agreement, says Wayan.
E-mini still looks like a buying. Digital Shot is saying he's thinking about going short again too.
So confirmation here from Tesco and Equity News here, brief colleagues on some changes to stores and offices to simplify business. About 9,000 Tesco colleague roles could be impacted from this restructuring, Tesco saying. EU's Wayan saying the UK snatched defeat from the jaws of victory on the deal. The UK-wide customs union in the backstop was an explicit UK demand.
Yeah.
The UK government said the UK-wide backstop was sufficient to get the treaty passed.
So it was interesting that they put in something at the last second to try and help the UK, and it still wasn't enough to change things. So, well, we've come back and forth here at 13 a lot. Okay. The E-mini was actually pushed down quite a bit there.
And saying a time limit to the backstop defeats its purpose.
Okay, so I don't like that this is like so weak. Uh, I'm just gonna get out. Okay.
Wei Yan saying we have margin to change the political declaration.
ES wants more.
EU's Wei Yan saying backstop changes already discussed and have been dismissed.
Hmm. There are there are some spy sweeps in ES.
EU's Wei Yan saying very high risk of no-deal Brexit by accident. It mirrors what other personnel have said. EU stands ready to evolve if the UK evolves its positions. Wei Yan, crash out Brexit is default scenario on March 29th.
To do it afterwards. There's a big iceberg there at 13.5, guys. And there's there's a bubble in ES too. Pretty sizable bubble there. This could be a short. Hmm. Okay. Okay. You mean he's still not stopping? Oof. This is a really big iceberg there at 13.5, guys. They may bust through it though. You never know. Okay.
Stephen, Jack Maidment rather, saying senior Brexiteer Tories now abandoning the Sir Graham Brady backstop amendment. Downing Street needs a new plan by the end of the day.
Okay, that was a good downtick. That was very encouraging. All of them ticked down. ZB's still saying nope, don't want to. Oh, that's weird. Need to it's not telling me open profit and loss, even though I have at least one tick open. Okay, a few have ticked there into 12.5, but it's not. Okay, here comes the E-mini. Being a little cautious there on the open. That's interesting. I kind of thought that on the open that maybe they would really push it. No.
Matt Dathan on Twitter saying Labour frontbench Shaw says they will be backing both the Cooper and Grieve amendments to delay and give MPs weekly indicative votes on Brexit, but official announcement not expected until tomorrow.
Okay.
It's the Sun's political correspondent Dathan there
Some
on Twitter.
buy-in there. Yeah, okay. Good progress. Good progress. $9,000 at 25 now. You can see that? Okay, well they ticked up. So E-mini moved down. Might be more to that. Okay. Now you're seeing, oh man. You're seeing a lot of volume here in the E-mini now. A little bit more bigger numbers. But they're not turning around there, they're still going. Okay. I'm not seeing the big offer at 14 anymore. So that's not positive. Okay, last I saw was 1868. I think we should get a little bit of a buying reprieve here. Yeah. It looks pretty good. And did not tick down in the in treasuries. They pulled, but they didn't tick down.
Let's get more comments out of ECB's Draghi. I can't easily compare monetary policy stance of the Fed and ECB.
Wait, the diplomatic answer? There's definitely some interest at this 2634.50 area. Okay. So there was a big iceberg at 13.5 where we got filled. There was a big iceberg at 14. Okay. Like it was all looking positive, but then they never quite. There's definitely some sellers making it hard on them. See, that's not good. Trying to be patient here because I am still they're
Some
they're
Brexit
still
news now.
going.
ITV's Paul Brand is tweeting he understands that Yvette Coopers will meet with Labour MPs from the Leave constituencies later to explain her amendments. Several have raised concerns about appearing to frustrate Brexit and are refusing to back it.
Okay. It's pretty thick on both sides here in CN, which means that people seem to see this as a key area. Yeah. But see, that's a 5K iceberg now that they've busted through. Oh. That I liked that. This could totally fall apart. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, but that was definitely something trying to push it down, man. Yeah. Unfortunate. Okay. Guess that's it. Then the E-mini goes for another push. Yeah. Agree. Equities acting pretty darn nervous. I'd say though that push down to the downside did not. Okay, now you're getting. Mm, my 10-year opening range indicators busted. There we go. That's better. Opening range was 12. We'll see. I see the momentum into treasuries is changing. But it has been almost completely just a big write up, you know? There's a big bid there in the 30-year. Okay. Good edge catch. I don't think that the E-mini is done there. They're going to want to get the big order. You're getting good offers on the downtick. All right, very good. And see that 062 hold, please. Yes.
Just be aware, getting comments out of the US Commerce Department's Bureau of Economic Analysis saying they will be providing new release dates for economic data postponed due to the government shutdown as soon as it can.
Ooh, look at that. Okay. So they quite a bit more market selling in there. But an iceberg at 13.5. E-mini looks so strong. They've still got another. This 26, 36, 50. They've still got a little ways to go. Right there. Say that right there is kind of a. I want to see that go offer again. At 0.6 and 5-year. Okay, some selling there. You're getting a lot of volume here now.
Some more comments from ECB's Draghi. If things go very wrong, they can resume other instruments in the toolbox. As more from Draghi, doesn't see such contingency likely to materialize this year.
Okay, that wasn't necessarily positive. There's definitely something about this spot, but I may be overestimating the probability that it turns here. Just because that time it went offer and it was only 500 offered, and then when they went bid again, there was a 2,000 on it. So right now it seems like the pressure is still on the buyers in ZN. But this thing over here is not done. They're still actually within that range. So, man, 3K now. Okay. So they offered 14, but then only 221 to take it up. ZN seller's flaky. Yeah. Oops. That was because of ooh, I like the better error window. That's nice. Well, that sucks. Well, I think I've fought this plenty now. Oops, was R already out? Yes. Yeah. So now we get into some of Friday's levels, like we could even see 22. Okay. Wow. I don't like this. Man.
More from Draghi, the balance of risk to economic outlook has moved to the downside.
Okay, that's not a positive thing to hear.
Just beat that comment from Draghi there. The balance of risk to the economic outlook has moved to the downside.
In case the market didn't hear it because they didn't react to that one.
Just a bit of Brexit news now. That's DUP Sammy Wilson has just tweeted a new statement out saying it is time to exploit EU chaos and press for a better deal.
Okay.
Block by.
Wow. Well, what caused that? That was interesting.
More from the US Commerce Department's Census Bureau. Will be providing new release dates for the economic data postponed in the near future with no specific timeline.
I don't know what caused that. I don't know if there was a news. I've got to move this up to 22. Oops. Man. Trying to be ominous there in Discord. This is like December. Dun dun dun. We'll see if it really is. Look at that. There's wild volatility both directions there. If this is like December, then eventually they're going to push down for another new low and it's just going to be more crazy. Well, Thing is, you got to remember, anytime that there's a stop run, there's a chance of it going through. But the whole thing is like this 16 still being bid and everything is like super bad. Super bad, because if we make a new high, there is 20,000 contracts to continue buying. Right? Like, that's a huge imbalance there. There was a lot of people fighting that lost. Okay, well, the E-mini is making a little bit of progress there. Oh, there's a big iceberg there at 16. Okay.
From the CBO now sees its 2019 full-year budget deficit at $897 billion versus the prior of $981 billion in its April estimates, seeing its budget gap of 4.2% for 2019 of GDP versus the prior of 4.6%. The jobs rate at 3.5% in the fourth quarter of 2019 versus the prior of 3.9% in the fourth quarter of 2020. And projects a cumulative deficit of $11.6 trillion from the 2020 to 29 period. I also seen the US deficit above $1 trillion in 2020 versus the 2020 April estimate. PC inflation seen at 2% this year and 2.2% in 2020, also cutting its 2019 US growth forecast to 2.3% versus the prior of 2.4%. Just repeat that. That's the Congressional Budget Office has released their annual fiscal and economic outlook, cutting the 2019 US growth forecast to 2.3% versus the prior of 2.4%.
2.3 is the global is the yearly outlook. That's actually better than I thought it would be, because people are talking about it being zero growth this year due to trade wars and stuff. See, like, there's a bid at 16.5 now. 3K. Okay, well, they sold through it. The E-mini is kind of fighting here. Yeah, it's really fighting. Them sellers are making some strong pushes, even though the treasuries aren't ticking back up yet.
More from the CBO, estimating that the US government shutdown did reduce the fourth quarter real GDP by 0.1 percentage point.
0.1, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Chance that this next push up.
More from the CBO that the shutdown is expected to reduce the fourth quarter of 2019 US GDP by 0.2 percentage.
Okay. So 16.5 went bid. Somebody sold it again. E-mini still looks, price action still looks negative to me. Yep. So very negative, although it is slowing down there at 26.29. Yeah. Okay. That 16.5 has gone bid many, many times, and they've taken an offer. And well, that time it was 677 to sell it. But you see, it still goes bid. Like, there is a ton of volume trading up here. There's so much volume trading up here. I think this I mean, obviously, I have a position long, so like that tells you what I think. But whew. Okay, that was a little bit stronger of a buy there in the E-mini. So maybe not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're now. I guess not. Okay.
There's more Brexit news now. Jack Maidment from The Guardian just tweeting that the DUP is now undecided on the Sir Graham Brady backstop amendment. So the DUP could get legal advice on how strong a codicil to the withdrawal agreement would be after Sir Graham's comments last night. Just be aware that the US Treasury has announced a public hearing January 29th on US-UK trade talks.
Okay, don't like that. Okay. $15. Okay, that 15.5 went off for too easily. Yeah. Hmm. I do. Yeah. I don't know. Okay. Oh, that offer of 15 half is I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
There's more comments now from the DUP. Spokesman Wilson saying that the March 29th exit date must not be moved, while the government must face down the stubbornness of Dublin and Brussels.
The stubbornness of Dublin and Brussels. It's kind of funny to listen to the political speak of the UK because the stubbornness of Brussels and Dublin to me just sounds so silly. To me, it just sounds so silly. But that's because those words aren't like imprinted into my brain the same way that they probably are for Europeans. You know, a European probably immediately associates that with the EU and Ireland. Troublesome. Don't like them. Like there's going to be some emotional reaction to that I just don't have, and so it just sounds silly to me. See, there was a strong buy. This sell coming back is not actually building much in cumulative delta at all. I'm wondering if I'm kind of hoping that we're going to get a stop run higher, to be honest. Would it be possible that the Treasuries break a new high and the E-mini doesn't? Wouldn't be the weirdest thing that happened today. Okay. Strong sell there. See that the buying in the E-mini looks strong. That was pulling. It looks like it's luring to me. This is pulling, see? And then they come back and it goes back to 25. So there's 1,000 pulling on and off. Dang. Okay. Ooh. That was actually confusing. Treasuries went really sold there, and so I clicked in. And then there was a big sell in the E-mini. This hasn't actually changed. Okay. Well, maybe. That 15 half is pulling now a little bit. And 5-year tick down. It's kind of funny, I can just see it in the peripheral vision. It's like something moved down, but the 10-year is still where it was. Okay. I don't like that. Hmm. Yeah. They're more than willing to trade 15 half, but not 15. I have a TP at 14.
A bit of equity news now. Cheddar reporting that Apple has started talks for service with game makers in the second half of 2018.
I can see the pressure in the e-mini, but they're not making it. Not yet. Well, that was a little better. Sure. Good. Good.
So in 10 minutes time, we'll be getting the US Dallas Fed manufacturing activity for January, expected at minus 2.7 against the prior of minus 5.1.
Okay, there
As well,
was a
just
new
looking at the
high.
breakdown from last month's results, the output index came in at 7.3 in December.
Yeah, they're really putting pressure on it now. 25. Seven always here. That E-mini is starting to get strong. I don't like that. So they traded 38.45 to trade back up there at 15? What? So this is kind of getting into action that I find a little bit frustrating because you get icebergs at like every step. There's an iceberg both ways now there. So I don't know how to read that or if that even means anything. $7K? What the fuck? Really? Yeah, okay. Okay, so it's a good point that the 10-year is seeing more buying than the 30 and the 5. What the heck is this going on at 15? Is it going to be a 20K? My goodness. My goodness, guys. E-mini has been...
Some more Brexit news. That's Paul Brand from ITV just tweeting that several ERG members have told him that they're holding out in hope of a government amendment giving something more specific on backstop.
E-mini is being awfully quiet over here. Being awfully quiet there. $19. I'm pretty sure I've seen a 20K before, but I don't... Beyond that... Okay. So now it is 20. Okay. They ticked through it and nobody wanted to sell 14.5, huh?
Manufacturing activity for January. Again, that's expected at minus 2.7.
Okay, that's a little better. And now at 38. God. What's going on? Oh my gosh! It's huge! Like that E-mini, that I think that ES is going to go to 2640. See, that 25 offer. I'm sorry, my nose is a little stuffed up here. 2,500 contracts offered. Only one has gone into 14.5 since then. So that, for one thing, tells us that that's not a good idea. Because if they take 14.5, it's just going to go whoomp. They may never get through 14.5, but if they do, they're probably going to go for more. Okay. Oh my gosh. Wait, 46.25 to buy through?
Somebody is really interested in trading this area. Only 4 into 14.5. E-mini moved up too.
10 seconds.
Not pulling for the news. I don't even have this piece of news on my calendar, in fact.
It's 1.0, 1.0 for the Dallas Fed manufacturing activity. It's being expected at minus 2.7. So looking closer at the Dallas Fed manufacturing output for Texas at 14.5 versus the prior of 7.3.
I mean, it's good that they're below 15.5. Let's keep that in mind. And the E-mini does look positive. That was a pretty strong downtick in terms of the way that it fell on all of these ones. Like, look at the 30-year. Kind of really created a little bit of chaos over there. There's a strong offer and everything, but still nothing into 14.5. Probably somebody's going to trade that, and they're just going to block sell the whole thing. Seen this before. If they trade through it, it's going to go fast. Never really ticked big into 15.5. Yeah. Okay. Now a few more selling at 14.5. Okay. Oh, it filled me. Oh, no, it didn't. It didn't fill me. It just canceled the order. Okay. There we go. Yes, it's still chugging along.
600 into 14.5. Pressure's still on it. Pressure in the 5-year in particular is looking pretty good. The 30-year is kind of ticking down a little bit, kind of saying like, hey, we could do this. 6 3/4 in the 5-year does appear to have some degree of support, though. E-mini, but still quietly holding and moving higher. Uptick. Thing is an order like that kind of messes with the market, I think. Everybody's now is like, what the heck just happened? They're not sure what to think about it. For all I know that, hey, how's it going, Marjan? That ZN looks like a lure for John's playbook? You talking about the move higher earlier? I think what happened was somebody got stopped out, and then we moved higher, and then there just wasn't enough appetite for higher because the E-mini was turning around. We moved lower. And then, yeah, there was a big iceberg. Yeah. So the
comments now from the EU deputy Brexit negotiator. The EU is open to alternative arrangements to the backstop. Problem is no one has found what it can be. On the basis of current UK red lines, cannot see how the future trade plans can take care of the Irish border issue.
So I would be careful, though, about reading that 15 as a lure, like they're luring here and you want to buy at 15 and that they're going to go and push a new high. Because when they get that big, you know what I'm saying?
Continuing with the future
it's not the same thing.
Solves the Irish border issue does not have to be based on the Irish backstop.
The kind of lure that I found is really indicative is like we come up here and they're pulling and it doesn't, there's absorption, and they come up here and they're pulling and their absorption, and then it ticks down and then it ticks down, and all of a sudden you realize, these guys, they got their profit and they're still in control and they're able to push it down easily, right? When there's something like 14.5, that is definitely somebody getting filled, but that is somebody that is so big and creates so much imbalance, they can just go right through it very easily, in fact. Okay, that was a big buy at 26.34. What news squawk are you looking at? Yeah, I'll give you the link here. But don't share it outside of chat, all right? Because if freaking everybody was using it, then maybe they would take it down. Yeah. Anyways, some bubbles in ES. Interesting bubbles. That's right. The financial juice does the same squawk, don't they? See what I said when they're go trade into 14.5 is just going to do it like all at once, but no more bid there. So
Just
that's
Christopher Hope
significant.
confirming now
But
that May is to brief the entire Conservative Parliamentary Party tonight at 5 p.m. London time. Clark is taking on a deal to allow her to try to renegotiate the withdrawal agreement to take out the backstop.
I don't know.
More from the junior Brexit negotiator on extending negotiations. It's clear that the EU would need to know the purpose from UK before agreeing into it. EU would want to believe that there would be clarity after the extension, while Syria extensions are not popular with the EU.
I like the squawk, but part of the reason why I think I like the squawk is because I feel like, one, it gives me a better idea of when something just happened, and two, it's a little less lonely.
More from ECB's drag. It's too early to tell if the Italian budget correction is needed.
Because you can totally, and the British voice. I love the British voice is calming, 100%. It's not quite as calming as Mr. Axia Futures. What's the start with? It starts with a B. Why am I having a hard time today? Anyways, I really like his voice. But man.
Continuing from away, and the worst thing for the EU industry would be unclear extension that would lead the same situation as today. We're not at a stage where we need to consider extension as a request not made.
I like what the E-mini is doing here, guys. There's some bubbles down there. It's pushing the highs. It's getting through those offers easily. I think you could see some stops here. And the treasuries are pushing down, but they're still not able to get 14.5 to go and stay offer. Anyways. Yeah. But the thing is you could totally just watch Twitter, right?
Continuing that there may be more days off in the UK in February to cut into before subjecting the whole of EU to an extension of talks.
So there was a little bit of stop run there, but it didn't. It got held back really easily. I think they're going to have to push again. Yeah, look at that. A lot of buying there. A lot of buying there. 14.5 still not staying offer. It looks a lot weaker though. Yeah, anyways, so I got distracted. I'm a really ADHD guy, so forgive me if I start saying something and maybe there was going to be more, or you feel like it. If I forget you or something, just make another comment. Totally fine. But on the iceberg thing, right? Just remember, when you get an iceberg that big, that is somebody that wants to be filled, and the market is not doing anything until they get filled. Very rare. I've maybe seen it once where you get an iceberg like that and it doesn't finish. That is going to sell into 15 until it goes offer. And chances are that 14.5 is going to go offer as well. And then at that point, you get to the point, when 14.5 goes offer, if it goes offer, then we kind of sit and look at things and try and decide what really happened. If it was somebody that wanted along and is going to push it up further, or if it was that was all the buyers and they're happy and now we're going to come back down to where we were, or whatever the deal is. Because with an order that big, it did go offer and they did trade into 14. So I don't know. E-minis looks like it's got a little bit left in it. I don't know if they're gonna get above the VWAP here and just go gangbusters, or if that's where they say, we need to pull back now. Anyways, be careful with once it gets above 10 to 15k. Be careful with those ones, all right? Especially if it's at a high of the day or something. So it's not unusual to see on a trend day a really big iceberg get blown through. And honestly, here's the other thing, is do you really think that 25,000 contracts trade somewhere and it doesn't ever go through anybody's head at the time that, oh, hey, maybe this is a lure, or this guy that I'm trading against seems to be really, really big. You know what I mean? So when they become a certain size, you've got to be careful. I don't know. It kind of looks like the ES might be bouncing off of the VWAP there. I thought 14F would go off, or it did. It's not exactly doing what I thought it would afterwards, right? Every time that they go there, the seller is really flaky here. Like they're putting 1,000 on it, but when it trades up, it's only like 300. He pulls, it's 5, 12. He's being flaky. 289 to trade up. 200 sell into it. Probably goes off again 1,000. Only 100 to trade up. Okay, now the robots are trading back and forth across it a ton. Well, they're willing to sell a lot at 14.5. Like they're gobbling that up really fast. This right here could be a lure. Okay. That time it ticked up because the E-mini moved down a little bit. So our chance to buy it there is gone. We have to wait and see if it does something else. Okay, it's 8:48. I'm just gonna put this in here just to see. Okay, so the E-mini is retraced back to where the breakout was. Man, that 15 is going the offer way too easy. So it's at a support area.
A bit of soft commodity news now. The USDA announcing that they'll include the January estimates in February's Wester report.
Come on. Yeah, trading from home can be lonely. If I understood it correctly, the lure is when there's a large bid below the market, and when price moves down to it, the bid gets pulled and everything that was on offer gets bought. So you saying there's a big order and they pull it? Ugh. Really? Now we're going to do this at 15, huh?
Comments out of the Angola Treasury Secretary saying we will have to revise the budget. It becomes clear oil's trending below the forecast of $68 a barrel.
I don't like that. Fine. I still think there's a good chance that we move lower. It's almost time for me to go. And I know that when I sit and wait for one of these, yeah. When I sit and wait for one of these at this particular time of day, it always takes forever. It always takes forever. Okay, so you're saying, I think what you're just trying to say, Marjan, is you'll see like down here at 12.5, there will be like a huge bid below the market, and then when the price moves down to it, they'll cancel it, and you'll see maybe 2,000, and then they'll sell the 2,000 and they turn it around, right? That is kind of what I call a flipper. So let's open him up, okay? Where is he? Ebook. Let me find it. Let me find it over here. I don't want you guys to, I'm not going to put the whole book on here. Further than that. Okay. So here he's saying there's 2,300 on the offer, and there's 1,500 on the bid, and anytime that they sell it down like this, he buys it back up. Then he puts a little bit back on, 250 at 05, and then eventually he is going to pull everything at 06, and then he's going to buy everything at 06 and trade it up. Okay, so that's what I call a lure. So to me, a lure would be like at 15, you see it, you know, there's very little that's being put there, but then every time that they sell it, he buys it back up. And then he puts on a little bit, and he might even like go to 1,000 and then pull it to 500, because when he pulls it, the robots are almost certainly going to sell him, and then he buys it back. You know, he'll keep doing that over and over and over again, and eventually you will see an order above it pull, right? So like if they were doing it here, he would pull it to 500, buy it back up, pull it to 500, buy it back up, and then eventually this 3 would change to 1,500 without anything happening, without any volume going into it. And then he would buy the 1,500, and there would be like 2,000 bought at 14.5. Okay. Well, look at that. I mean, I trade that all the time, a lot, really. Okay. So that is my explanation of a lure. So I'm not going to say that I understand John Grady's book perfectly or anything like that. That's what I thought he meant. Maybe he does, or maybe he doesn't, but so I'm just going to say that is what I mean as a lure. And so really, when I say that looks like a lure, to me, that means that order is pulling really easily. And I think that somebody is actually there buying more than it appears from the level 2. That's really how I look at it. You know what I mean? Sure enough. Sure enough, as soon as I get out, it starts going a little bit more. I really was hoping I could hold that for 12.5, but this 8:30 to 9 o'clock my time per frame is always really bad. Always really bad. I can't see the difference between your explanation and mine. Well, I think that the thing that I was saying was like, if let's say that this 13.5 was like 10K, and then it traded down to it and it pulled and they sold all that was offered, that's a flipper. Okay, that's what I thought you meant. And then what that means is they were, so it's the opposite of a lure, really. It's like the lure is like making it seem like there is less supply, buy side supply at a certain spot than there really is. The flipper is making it appear that there is more buy side supply than there appears to be. So they think that there's going to be 5K there, and then all of a sudden it pulls and they sell it, and then it's like, oh, it actually wasn't there, and then they can just keep going further, right? But if there's a lure, volume is still going to trade there. That's how you know it's a lure, and that's why it's good to have. Although I don't do it, but that's why it can be good to have your DOM set to like, not reset until it's been 10 seconds, because then you'll see that there really was like 10,000 bought there. But I like to see how much they're doing, because I know that when it's only trading 100 to 500 up and down, that it's robots taking those trades. So that's why I like to do it that way. Anyways, I hope that was, I think we're all good. Yeah. My reading, I mean, we don't really know what happened there, but my reading is that somebody has been buying it all morning, and somebody was really shorting it here at like 14. I was shorting at 14 because I saw them, right? Held on to it for a pretty long time. Well, 5 minutes. This one at 13, I was in for 15 minutes almost before it finally went against me, right? It is good you have this recorded and you need to see your explanation again. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is why we record it, right? And always so that you can go back and watch the action again. I think, though, what you will see if we come back to kind of this period up here, what you're going to see is it's going to go back and forth across the price several times, and you don't know who's going to, if it's the buyer or the seller that matters more. But then all of a sudden, this will pull and it'll trade it up, and then it'll do that there forever, and it'll trade it up. So he's like luring at multiple prices, pushing it up, but he does it so slowly that it looks like there's like they're going to stop every time. Anyways, so I think they were buying it up there, and then there was the stop run for who knows why. Maybe there was news that we missed, but there was definitely some sort of crazy stop run there. And then they were really poised for another new high. I really think that they were totally prepared to go for another high, but the E-mini reversed. There wasn't enough fuel in the E-mini. There was in Treasuries. And so that unwound. And when that unwound, then there was the iceberg. I don't know what the deal is with the iceberg, but we broke through the iceberg, and now we've gone through for 2 ticks. So that's kind of like the effect of the iceberg may not matter anymore. So now, as to whether or not we get to 12.5 or we go up for the high again, I don't really know. It probably is extremely dependent on the E-mini. If the E-mini goes down to the lows again, we could probably break a new high. And if we do break a new high, probably still, I mean, there's so much that went short there to get it. If we got pushed back up to that high, I think that you would probably need to see that cumulative delta move up another 20,000 contracts again, which would be scary and probably would result in a new high. But if not, it might just settle back to 12.5 and decide that they like it there and balance, maybe. Anyways. Okay, so Tino said 2 things. It is volume sliced order, it's pumping up. A volume sliced order slices a large quantity into smaller disclosed orders based on trading volume. The resting portion may not be filled before there is enough trading volume to submit the next portion. The leftover parameter indicates how to handle the resting order when it is time to send the next portion. Options includes leave, merge, market, and pay up. When the parameter defines when the leftover action should be performed. Okay. So that sounds like a refreshing order of some kind, right? But I think you're right. I think that they can go in and they can say, I want to buy 10,000 here. And then it'll only show 50. And then if they sell through the 50, it will automatically buy whatever they put there and push it back up. Just like it did right there. You see, that is to me, that is potentially an indication of buying, right? That they're buying at 15 is that they let it go, and then as soon as they put it on an offer, they immediately buy it back up and put a big bid there again, and and then they pull it and they do it again. That's somebody that wants to be filled, I think. Now, I would not read too much into that, because I think that setup is kind of one of the least, for me, it's been one of the less reliable ones. Because any time you get one of these, it could be so easy for somebody to go and push it the other way. You know what I mean? So I think that it's more than just those little setups. It's kind of like you want to see some sort of imbalance happen first. Like what we saw here at 16.5, right? We came up and we made a new high, and then they were kind of luring right here. And at a certain point, I got rid of that long because I realized that we were at an extreme and they were luring. Then it's a good indicator, right? Flipper placing a huge order on the opposite side of the market that he really wanted to take. When the other traders tried to jump in to take a ride with a big position, he would withdraw the order and take the opposite side of the trade to suck in all the bad trades and scalp a few ticks. Yes. Yeah. He would pull the order and then sell it, and it would go boosh and then back up. But those, again, that's another one you got to be careful with, because first of all, we don't really see the flipper very often anymore. In fact, I think that every time that we've sat down and said, oh, there's a big order, that there actually was a lot of volume traded there. Yes. Okay, so if you look back to sometime around February of last year, there was a day, and I don't know what day it is, but the video of it is fucking awesome. So go and find it. It was the first day that the 10-year Treasury yield rose above 3%. Remember how everybody was like, well, if it gets above 3%, and then finally one day it did? And that day, I saw a flipper. The most clear thing I think I ever freaking saw. It was there was a huge bid below the market, and it pulled. And then after it pulled, a huge offer showed up just above it. And I sold the price just below the offer, and we went for just this bender of a short. I mean, it was really something. And then eventually it flipped completely around. But oh my gosh, that was probably the wildest thing I think I ever saw. Was that day, that first day that we got above 3%, and we were only there for a little bit, and then we pulled back for a week or two, and then eventually we did end up going even lower than that. So that gives you an idea of when it was. But it was early last year, and I have it recorded. It was great. Go watch that video. I mean, it was great because I made money. I made money on that one, and then I made money on the FOMC and after that too. That was the one where I was trading my live account, and I made 500 and then lost 200 of it. But anyways, yeah. We definitely see flippers, but they're not. I definitely have flippers recorded, and anytime that I do, I have a thread on futures.io where I say, hey, this is suspicious market activity. But they're not so common. For I think that they said we're going to crack down on it, and I think it's starting to work. The high frequency traders still do it on little bits, but the really, really big ones, you don't see those as commonly. Anyways, I've talked way past my time frame, so I am going to head out. I will see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends.